lovers. Welcome to Love After Loss, the place where true love never dies. I am your host, Josh, and we are live for another combo from the comments. We have a special guest with us today. We have Miss Zanita DeVille with us. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
The Zanita DeVille, yeah. And we having a great, we're going to have a real interesting conversation today. And we're really talking about the emotions of a man, but we're talking about it from the women's perspective. I don't think guys get to hear enough of the women's perspective, and I don't think women get to hear enough, the perspective of guys on this topic. So I think this is a great conversation to have, whatever. And I'm excited to be having it with you. So hold on to your seats, guys. We going in today. Let me gather myself. It's just like that. I'm excited about this.
And that's the way it is.
So for me, this is a big topic for me. I have worked diligently to work and develop emotionally as a man, because I think it's something that we neglect a lot of times because of societal pressures, cultural pressures, familial pressures, different things like that. So I've intentionally try to kind of like dispel that myth about men in my own life, but it is not something that's easy, and there's a lot of people who have a tough time with it or whatever. And I think that men and women have some growing and learning to do in this subject as it pertains to engaging with one another, as well as supporting one another and just understanding the other's position on it. And so you've had some interesting experiences with this, with men and everything. So I'm gonna give you a chance to, first of all, share with us some of your experiences and things that, you've seen in conversation maybe you've had, or things that you've had in your dating life that you've seen dealing with this topic.
For me, specifically, one major question came up that brought this about, and it just was just the way that sometimes as a woman it feels like men are seeking for women to be kind of there as a support system for them emotionally healing through things, but many women cannot find that reciprocated. And I'm just speaking from my experience. And the things that I've seen, it's kind of, a lot of my female friends or women friends, their men are looking for them to hold their hands through this healing process, but he is not also equally emotionally available for her. And I think that is that's a big issue as far as I'm concerned that we have, because women have for a very long time opened themselves up and been very vulnerable and hurt. And I hear a lot of men say that the reason why they don't is because women hurt them, or women, will talk about them expressing their emotions. And I just have been trying to figure out at what point of relationships between men and women did women have that in return, where they did not get hurt by opening up their emotions or being vulnerable. You know what I mean? So like, it's a risk. And if we want to heal, then both sides have to realize that vulnerability has to be allowed.
Yeah, I get that. I understand. I think it's a tough topic for me in that way, because I feel like women have a leg up in this subject. And I think in relationships, a lot of times men are supposed to be the quote unquote leaders. And so it's like women want to look to men to lead in something that, to be honest, we're not the leaders in. Like, we are not the progenitors. We don't have the advantage when it comes to emotional things. So I think that, I don't know, some men may look to women to help them, guide them, navigate them through the emotional thing. But then I think it's hard to say, okay, on the other hand, I want you to help me work through my emotional thing, as far as the men working through the woman's, and he don't know how. Like, how much responsibility do we have one to another for our emotional development, and how much are is each person willing to give and invest in the emotional development of not only themselves but the other? I think that's the bigger question. And without the answer to that question, I think it's going to be hard. Like, you tell me from your perspective, like, how many guys have you actually met who actually were on that wave, like that was on that, like, I'm trying to develop and grow emotionally? Think about it. And you guys down here in the comments, I want y'all to drop y'all questions and
I really
comments
wish I
down
could
here
see them, but
to let just try to swipe your screen again. Try to swipe your screen again and see if it comes across. Because we want to hear from you guys and your perspective as well on this. We're gonna have a broad scope conversation here.
no.
How do you guys?
I'm just gonna send a letter through and see if it makes
Yeah,
it
do that.
push
You
everything
did. Your
up.
J came through.
Okay. Okay. Well, I see me. Hey, I can see it now.
You can see it now.
Whoa.
Hey,
Okay.
yeah. There you go.
Okay. Repeat the question. I'm sorry.
So I'm just
I had to get that straight first.
okay. So I want just like how much responsibility do you think we have one to another, and does it need to be equal? You know what I'm saying? As far as men to women and women to men, because I don't think we're equals as it pertains to emotions. I definitely think women have a lot, like developmentally, you guys are trained and, you know, emotionally before we are as young girls and young kids and stuff. Like, y'all gonna cry more than we are, so there's gonna be more conversations about what you feel than we are. You know, y'all gonna be more emotionally vulnerable, and you know, y'all, things that will hurt you guys not necessarily hurt us and things like that. So you have that dynamic existing throughout your life, whereas a lot of men get to a place where it's like you have to confront what's wrong with you emotionally because it's more of a problem now, as opposed to it being a part of our development. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Okay, so, and I remember what you were saying earlier. Okay, so I do know some men that approach things like that, but those are friends. So I don't know if they are approaching it that same way in their relationships. That is a great question. Um, Among friends, we do that. We check on each other. We make sure each other are spilling it. Like, it's me, another woman, and five men, and we all make sure like we get it out. Like, if you gotta cry, like, you're gonna have to let that out, because we not about to deal with each other with this stuff pent up. And I think as far as like in between relationships, that happening, I honestly do think that we should be equally responsible and being able to be supportive uh, with each other emotionally. And maybe that goes to show that the idea that that women grow up through childhood with that processing emotions, like learning how to do it because they go through things, that shows a little light to that actually being more of an assumption. I didn't have that. Um,
Well, we're not
I,
talking about,
I
of course, yeah, of course, there's individualized cases
Yeah, I
that
mean,
be different,
that's
but
anecdotal, but I'm just saying, like, I think that there are masses of women who did not have that. They had to stick it out and figure it out. Like, it wasn't a baby girls crying, let's totally address it. If anything, I mean, I know in my family personally, the boys are babied. I mean, they some suckers. Like, you know
all
what I'm
right,
saying? Like, so I don't know.
so in your previous example, you said it's you, your friend group that you were speaking of is you, another female, another woman,
Mm-hmm.
and five dudes.
Mm-hmm.
How many of them five dudes are in relationships?
Right now, none of them.
I knew
Right
that
now,
was
none
gonna
of
be
them.
your
They
answer.
have been in and out of them, but at this moment, no, none of them are.
I knew that was gonna be your answer because
Mm-hmm.
I feel like when it it's easier for dudes to be vulnerable with someone that they're not intimate with in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's like don't crap where you lay. Like, guys are taught that, and in some guys' mind, that's what it looks like to them. Not saying that being emotionally vulnerable is, defecating or whatever, but at the same time, it's like you're setting yourself up for the possibility of a later attack, a later judgment, a later, you know, looking down on you, a later, the impact is further reaching. Like, if my friend think less of me or think something of me, okay. But friends don't have to live together. Friends don't have to be together, so y'all can deal with and have those differences and it not matter. And then you get in a relationship and he don't tell the friend, he don't tell his girl or his girl, none of that. And then still will talk to that friend, because that friend don't have that type of tie, and whatever thing he does or doesn't do doesn't necessarily directly impact the friend's life. in the same way that it would a person that he's in a relationship with too. So I don't know, like what's a way to make it so it's more okay in the relationship setting for guys to do that? Because I know plenty of dudes who open up to strangers and open up to friends and then suck it in relationships.
I think that would have to lie in men just finding the place to be secure enough, and whatever happens after that. I guess for me, I look at it like women have subjected themselves to whatever happens when they become emotionally vulnerable. Like literally have subjected themselves to whatever. Like you're gonna take this however, sir, and you're gonna respond and regurgitate back to me whatever it is, whether it hurts, helps, feels good, or feels bad. But women do that all the time and just keep doing it. But men find that space in, oh, that didn't feel good, so I'm not gonna do that no more.
But
do you want to heal then?
No, but here's the thing though. I think women do it more involuntarily, whereas men have to make themselves do it. Like certain things are just like, y'all can't not do it. Tell a woman to just be quiet about it and move on. No, y'all ain't built like that. Y'all don't function like that. But a dude would just shut up about it and move on. Because, we not the same. So I think that I think y'all want some credit sometimes for stuff that you do on your own that we didn't ask you to do. And then you do it. And then you pay a cost for it. And then we're charged whatever that fee was. And we're like, I mean, I think you wouldn't have been able to live like that. Women are not able to live like men and just hold stuff in and bury stuff and move on. Men don't do it well either, but I feel like men do it better than women because we've done it longer. So we're able to do it, and you know what I'm saying, and be all right. I'm gonna be honest. Some things that in life were supposed to hit me a lot harder, and the man in me was like, nigga, for what? What is we about to do all of that for? It's not gonna change that thing at all. And I would rather not give my energy to crying and falling out on the floor like I feel like I want to do right now. So I'm going to take it, get up, brush myself off, take it on the chin, and keep it pushing. Because we're more logical in that way. I don't think men value the release of the emotional part too, though. But I believe there is a value in that. There are times where I just cry because I feel overwhelmed. I'm like, I need to release emotionally. And like, so I think it's a delicate balance that's been tipped in the imbalance for so long that we're trying to now put some more weight on the other side and bring it back up to a more even keel. I think both have a place because I don't think a man should respond to every hardship and adversity in an emotional way. I don't think a man should be overwhelmed as easily as women are. No offense to any woman up here, because there's some strong women up here. But at the same time, men have we have a responsibility, a part of our life makeup and accountability in life to just be stronger. It's just our job. We built that way. We built to be stronger in more ways than one. So I think that finding that balance is really the key, and having someone who's wise enough and mature enough, to be able to move between the two could help.
I agree with that. I think that maybe I struggle to relate to that idea that men are stronger or, emotionally or are more apt to hold it in effectively. I think that maybe my view on that is skewed because I relate more to that. And I've seen a lot of men who don't hold it in well. A great example of men not holding their emotions in well are the holes in so many people's walls. Like, you know what I'm saying? They just express it in different ways. So maybe a woman's gonna ball up and cry on the floor, and a man's gonna put a hole in the wall. Or something else reckless as hell. And so for me, I don't see it as that, women being more allowed to be emotional, or you know what I'm saying? Or I don't know. I process things pretty logically too. I've been through some pretty hard stuff, and I ain't got time to sit down and cry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, like on some smaller stuff, and then on some bigger scale stuff. I shared with you earlier today. I'm a dialysis patient. I had a couple hours to cry it out and get it over with because nobody helps me. Nobody assists in those emotional compartments of how do you deal with that. Nobody assists in the day-to-day heavy lifting or man things. So there was no time. And I guess that goes to show maybe I would have cracked if through my childhood there was ever time for me to crack. There wasn't. So I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, there are many women who grow up without that welcoming of being so soft. So I think maybe I don't know, maybe I'm not the most ideal person to speak on like the woman's perspective, but for me, I just feel like if so many women are left to deal with their emotional distress alone, why do men need women's help dealing with it? Like, that's the part that I struggle with. Or we have to all help each other, but it cannot be my peace because the streets want me dead anyway, and nigga, you want me dead. Like, like, how would be your peace and you reckless as hell to me? You know what I'm saying? So like, I guess that's where I get confused about, like, what do men want women? What place do men want women to hold in emotional repair? Because then what is the reciprocal of the place that men hold in women's emotional repair? What is it?
I think that the role of women in that is to not be the antagonist. It's simply as put, when you're in a situation and you are dealing with something that can be emotionally overwhelming, I think a lot of times, and I'm just gonna be straight out, like, y'all be insensitive and y'all be antagonistic towards the situation. Women can push every button in the world. Like, a dude can just stop talking and be pissed. Nah, women, it gonna nag, ain't gonna talk, ain't gonna have smart stuff to say, ain't gonna chew away at his manhood, ain't gonna try to hurt him, ain't gonna low blow and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying guys don't do that, but women are more famous for doing that type of stuff to dudes. So, and it's interesting that you brought up the fact that you know, the punching holes in the walls and all of that stuff or whatever. And I think that speaks to the difference in our nature, because the caveman, you know, the primitive part of men is definitely present. Like, we are that creature. Like, we used to club over the head and throw over the shoulder. Like, we always been that person. So that part of us is there. I think how it's displayed, I do have times where I do have like it's overwhelming, and it doesn't overwhelm and turn into like tears and breakdown. It overwhelms and turn into like something you need to release that needs to happen. So punching a hole in the wall a lot of times to prevent doing something far greater. Now, I've punched a hole in the wall, I'll be honest, because to keep from punching somebody in the face. I've been there. So I understand it, but on the inside, I never wanted to punch the person in the face. I just needed to release the level of pent up, I don't know, that it's an energy. It's an energy that's like, you ever watch Dragon Ball Z? And when they be powering up, if you ever seen Dragon Ball Z, when they start powering up,
I'm familiar with that reference, but I don't watch it.
Like the angrier and the more whatever you get, it just builds up. So like over time, you have this big thing that has to be released. At some point, it's like it's got to go like a Kamehameha.
But I guess I'm sorry. I guess my question is though, if men want that to be understood, then how do they have so much trouble understanding the ways that the typical woman expresses her emotion?
I think, honestly, for most men, the typical woman's expression is uncomfortable for us. Because y'all...
A hole in the wall is uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and then giving me the proposition of the wall on my face is uncomfortable. You come to punch me in my face, I'm going to shoot you in your head. Like, that's just that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's, to me, honestly, I mean, Junior don't like me. But either way, like, Junior, like, if those are your options, then you just need to leave, because that is an unhealthy behavior. Yeah. Like, you are in currently unhealthy crisis. Like, you know what I'm saying? And if that's an immediate thought, then you go to that immediate thought often, and that needs healing and working through. That is not okay. Like, now, that's just not okay.
So this was some years ago, and the only time I ever punched a hole in the wall, I was actually being physically assaulted. And she punched me in my face 10 times at that point, like 10
Yeah,
days.
that's crazy.
And I was eating them just, and I'm like, yo, chill out.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yo, I'm not going. Nah, yo. See, at that point, it was like, ugh. So it wasn't like I was just mad or upset, but at the same time, the whole point of it is you get to a point where it's like a tea kettle. It's got to release. It's a pipe that's about to burst. But I understand that it doesn't put women in a safe or comfortable environment either. So, but in my case, she knew she was wrong. Like you just dusted me.
Then they don't know how to fix the hole in the wall.
Oh, I do know how to fix. I did fix the hole though.
What's going on with that?
I did patch the hole up. I got the little kit. I put the screen mesh up there, spackled it, cleaned it up, made it look brand new. You never know the hole was there. But like, I don't know. I think if you're gonna be with a guy, you have to understand that you're gonna have some culpability and some responsibility to how they emotionally grow with you. I think different people are different. I don't think you can be emotionally developed for every person that you're with, right? So like if you and I were dating, I think it would take a different level of emotional maturity, response, understanding, all of that to be with you as opposed to me and somebody else, because you're a different person. So the guy you have may not be able to function on an emotional level that you do. And so if that's the case, how's he going to learn how to function emotionally with you without you? It's just like every other part of the relationship.
I totally get that.
You know, you have to grow together. So I got to learn how to love you. I got to learn how to treat you. I got to learn how to spoil you, because what's spoiling you ain't the same as spoiling somebody else. And what's spoiling somebody else, I got to learn all these other things about the person I'm with. Except emotional, it's a stretch. You can't do that alone. Then you say go do emotional stuff alone. But everything else, no, you got to pay attention to me. You need to learn my love language, and you need to learn how to speak to me, and you need to learn what turns me on, and you need to learn my body, and you need to learn what makes me happy, because I don't like flowers on Mother's Day, and you need to learn whether I like trips, and you need to learn, like, we have to learn all of those things in relationship with you guys, and it has to be a conjoined effort. But then you want him to go and say, now you go emotionally by yourself and get it together.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I do think that we have a responsibility to emotionally grow together in our relationships. When I'm talking about like men and their emotions, I'm just talking about like the emotions that you carry, the things that you come with, and the way that you learn how to process through them, and the ways that you expect other people to interact with you and your emotion, not necessarily handling someone else's. I just often feel like when men do get to that vulnerable spot, like they just want these big, warm, comforting arms and hugs. But I do not see many men handle women in that same comfort. Like most men are definitely on the hurting side before they're on any healing side. But women are expected to be on the comforting side and helping him not to be so harsh and abrasive to me. He need to work through that shit. Without my help. Like, you need to get yourself together, because it would be unfair if I came to you as a bitch, and I'm just always a bitch, and I expect you to fix me bitching. No, like, I need to fix my emotional issue. You know what I'm saying? But I think a lot of men do come to relationships cold and abrasive, and they expect a woman to be his peace and be his soft spot and be something he can come home and rest and get all the worries off his head with. But like, sir, who are you for her? Like, she just supposed to take all of that on and carry and birth the kids and risk her life carrying them motherfuckers, and like, come on, sir, like, and abandon her family name and take yours, and like no.
Now we're not gonna take normal things that come with your agreement to be in a relationship and use it now. Like,
no, I'm just saying these are the these are the things.
Now, I do agree. If you're talking about toxic, unhealthy, unstable stuff, then yes, you definitely need, to work through those things and work on those things individually. But when you agree to be in that relationship with that person, you also agree to a degree, not to a degree, to an extent. I'm not saying unconditionally and forever and ever, you know, indefinitely. But you also agree to partner with that person in their perfections and their imperfections. Is that not the case for every relationship? Absolutely. You just can't choose what the perfections and imperfections you want to tolerate are. I mean, you can choose in the onset, but once you decide, yeah, well, you can choose in the beginning, but once you decide, all right, I done been with this person long enough. I've seen enough to say I'm willing to live with this, deal with this long term. We're gonna do something serious, you know. Then at that point, you're signing up for some of their imperfections. Period. And women want guys to be okay with their imperfections, because they seem simple or they seem small sometimes to y'all. But what's small to one can be huge to another. So I don't think there's an imbalance in that way necessarily, but you got to also take on the fact that if you're dealing with a man, he probably not going to be on the same level as you emotionally in most cases. I mean, it's a rare case when you find, you know, certain people who are, but most of the time that's not the case. Now, I can be honest and say that now I'm way more emotionally mature, in especially in this relationship, than probably in the beginning of when my previous marriage. Like that, I was 22 years old. I didn't understand. Like I wanted to be good at it, but I wasn't great at it. But I wasn't horrible at it either, and I wasn't toxic at it either. It just it's not second nature for us. For us, it's usually third, fourth nature for most guys. And I think the woman's
What
responsibility,
exactly is fourth nature?
I'm just saying, like, you think about that after you think about something else. So
Oh,
like second nature means that's the thing you just
no,
automatically
I get
do.
it. I was wondering
Yeah.
what thing you were saying was fourth nature.
Oh yeah, just automatically responding emotionally, you know, in the right ways and all of that things or whatever. So, and when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. So that matters a lot too. I think sometimes women pick bad. You pick poor men. You pick underripe fruit. You pick fruit that honestly ain't there yet, and then you mad because it ain't there yet, and you picked it when it won't there yet. Nigga, that banana is still green. Of course it's hard. Yes, it tastes bad in your mouth, and no, you can't make my banana pudding with it. Period. Like, so y'all got to shoulder some of the responsibility for overlooking some stuff for the sake of good dick, for the sake of having somebody pay some bills, for the sake of having somebody in your presence, in your space, in your home. Like, there are a lot of those situations that could have been avoided if women would have said, no, that's too much for me. No, I don't like that. No, I'm not going to put up with that. No, he's not ready for what I want to do. You know how many guys, side chicks exist for this reason. Like, you know, good
I
Lord, he
agree with
can't be
that.
what you want him to be. You know he can't be what you want him to be, but you willing to settle and or do whatever to be with him, just because you like certain things about him, but the whole ain't there.
I do agree that people, I'm not gonna say women because I feel like men sometimes choose bad too,
That's
and
true.
that men who are not ready have the responsibility of not attaching themselves to people too. So I just personally cannot blame it all on women,
No,
but
but no. But here's a fact: women control. You know what I'm saying? Women control whether or not that relationship goes to whatever the different phases a lot of times. Think about it. Because of the way a relationship initiation is set up in societal norm, who approaches who?
men usually
Most of the
approach women.
time, men approach women, right? So
Mm-hmm.
women have the power in that moment before men have any power. Because men have no power by presentation, just by offering. That gives you no power. So at that moment, women immediately have power to say, "Oh, absolutely," or say, "No, thank you, sir." So if you're the initiator of that contact, then you got to have some culpability in it, because we can't control that. Men control marriage, women control relationship and sex. Because you ain't gonna get
Okay.
married till a man proposed to you, right? That's the way it's done
I
most of the
probably
time.
I just doubt I'm gonna get married, but you're
No, I'm
right.
talking about a person, a woman. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
right. You're right. Yeah,
Most
yeah,
of
yeah.
the time, the door to marriage is controlled by men because we have to propose to you. You still, and so, but the door to relationship and sex is controlled by women. Dudes ain't getting none if she ain't giving it to you, and you ain't gonna have nothing with her if she don't accept your advance. So y'all have a lot of the power. This is fact.
I mean, I agree with that. I can't say that I cannot say that that's wrong. I can say that there are other factors that change how accurate that is, but I can't say that.
Of course, like
I mean,
everything.
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, because very seriously, many relationships are based in abuse because she was like no, and she got harassed or stalked, or now she in this raggedy ass relationship. But you're right. You're right that is how majority are set up.
So let me speak.
That is absolutely right.
Let me speak to this. Guys get harassed and stalked, if not more, just as much as women do. We just don't take it the same way. Guys, like it. Some guys, to a degree, they like being able to say they got this junk all on their nuts. A woman, y'all agitated. This nigga in my inbox. Now, y'all like it, but y'all whole disposition is negative. But y'all do like to know somebody wants you. But I think guys don't report it. You know what I'm saying? Guys not gonna complain about it. Guys not gonna gripe about it. Guys not gonna, it's a badge for some cats. You know what I'm saying? So I think the situation, depending on who presents it, changes it. Because I think it happens on both sides. Just saying. I'll be honest, it's a bunch of duck jumps that, you know what I'm saying, back in the day, you just like the attention. You like having multiple girls that like you, even if you don't want none of them. You don't want them, but you know you walk through and you know you get attention. So I'm just saying. Okay. So tell me this: how much should a woman be willing to participate? Like, what's an acceptable role of participation of a woman in a man's emotional growth and development? Like, what are some things that's okay? This is what women should consider and do in their relationship to help their man grow. Not the toxic, abusive stuff, but, you know, guys don't know how to respond to their feelings, and sometimes their egos get in the way and their pride get in the way and that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Tell me, what y'all willing to do? That's what I'm saying. Everybody want to talk about what they ain't gonna do. What you willing to do?
For me, I would be willing to make sure that I'm coming through clearly with the way that I feel in particular situations with him, so that we can understand where we're going, where we started at, so we can know where it's going. Because I feel like a lot of times, if that's not expressed in the beginning, then you end up in places you never emotionally wanted to be because it was under the pretense that shit was all right. You know what I'm saying? So I think for men,
elaborate on that. What you mean by that?
I think that sometimes in relationships, men, I mean, I'm sure it happens to women too, but I think that sometimes in relationships, men are stuck in this understanding that things are okay because she's not saying anything. So he can't emotionally grow to understand women any better if you are putting on this facade that there is not an issue. So I think that women could be more clear with that. But
hold on, but honestly, I'm gonna be honest though, there's a lot of women who don't know how to properly diagnose emotional deficits in a man. Like, they don't know, they can't look at him and be like, I see why that is the way it is, or they don't understand. They don't understand why.
I mean, is that her job?
Huh?
Is that her job?
It may not be her job necessarily, but I think that, you know, you have some kind of like, say what you said first. Say what you said again.
I was saying that I think that sometimes women could be a little more clear on what they are actually feeling so that men can grow to understand emotion from women better. Like, if you're making me feel like shit is okay, you're not saying anything when I do this or I do say I'm the dude, you're not saying anything when I do this or do that, or however I'm making you feel, you're never saying anything. So I'm going to keep functioning in that way if I don't know it bothers you.
So
he can't grow.
Okay, so let's take a woman who doesn't say anything, but the reason why she doesn't say anything is she don't know no better. She grew up in a toxic environment. That's normal to her. That's what she used to. You know, it doesn't matter. Then when somebody else sees the situation or hears about it, they're like, yo, that's a problem. She's like, yeah, I guess it is a problem. Okay, now she got a revelation that it's a problem. But she don't have no answers because till this day, up to this point, she didn't even think it was a problem.
That is when she,
go ahead.
That's when she needs to start working out that demon. Like, she needs to do some shadow work on figuring out that issue. Like, nobody helped me work through the things that I have figured out. So I think I struggle to understand why a man or woman has to help another man or woman figure out their emotional deficit. Like,
because here's
get
why.
your ass some help.
Because here's why. To be honest, you shouldn't have had to do it alone. Somebody should have loved you enough. Somebody should have cared enough about your soul and your existence on this planet to have helped you. Whether it's family, whether it was somebody in a relationship, somebody should have been there. So I understand based on your experience that it presents I know that it's possible, you know, but in all honesty, you shouldn't have had to go through that alone. And to be honest, we shouldn't want to subject others to the traumas we experience. Just because we made it out, somebody else will get killed by the stuff you lived through. So your learning, what you should glean from that and learn from that is, one, how, and take the wisdom of how you did it. But also beyond that, learn what you don't want to subject somebody else to. This almost killed me. I wouldn't want nobody else to have to endure that. You shouldn't have had to do that alone. And because of that, it produces more and more people who don't have the compassion for the human experience because nobody showed them the general basic love of humanity to help them get through it. And that's not fair to you. And to be honest, it's going to make you be unfair to the next person, because the next person, you're going to try to do the same thing to them. And to be honest, none of us should have to. None of us should have to. And that's the facts.
So when you say I'm going to do the same thing, you mean like I would expect them to work on it themselves?
Yeah, like what you're saying right now. Well, ain't nobody help me. You need to get up and do it yourself. Like,
I feel like that makes you stronger, and it helps you to understand you better.
Now that's an assumption that it makes you stronger, because what makes you stronger will kill somebody else. That's an assumption. The effects are different from person to person, and everybody's not meant to carry the same things, and everybody's not meant to do the same things. So to subject everybody to the horrors of my life, assuming they're going to get through it like I did, would be unfair to them, because they're not me. They're not me. I've been through some things that I survived, and I know people who died who went through the same things. Hell, I know somebody who committed freaking suicide because of divorce. I'm divorced and I'm still alive. The same situation. There are guys who go through bitter breakups and issues in relationships where they can't see their kids and all of this stuff, and it has different effects on all of us, because I've gone through that and I'm going through that, but how I respond different. But that makes it different because I come from an environment and background of supportive, loving people who tried to help, even if they didn't have all the answers. They had good intentions, and, you know, not perfect at all, but I had to do some stuff on my own. I agree with that part, but I don't think it should ever be to the point where you have no one. And the fact that you ever felt like that was honestly, you know,
I wouldn't say it was no one. I would just say that the hard parts, like, you got to do that. This is just me. I believe in shadow work and working through things on your own. I believe in working through most things.
How much therapy
for you? Because I don't know. I just personally feel like you said, people handle things and take things differently. Mm-hmm. So the things that I've worked through, maybe somebody else cannot work through alone. Mm-hmm. But that does not then mean that I owe somebody my space and energy to help them get through something when I did it for me, by me. You get what I'm saying? Like, but I guess that's my issue. Like, as a woman who has worked through a lot of stuff for me, by me, when men come to me and they're just totally down and out and lost and need my guidance to help work through something, I'm gonna be honest with you, you're gonna have to find somebody else to help you do that, because I'm not. Like, I'm not. Like, you were not right here when I had to do it. Like, you still ain't helping. And then I gotta open me and pour me out to help you. Bro,
Well,
no. Like, you call your mother. Your mom. Because no.
Listen, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. And one of the biggest mistakes a lot of people make in relationships is comparing their partner to themselves. Like, using yourself as the barometer is always going to be a downfall. You cannot use yourself as the barometer. You have to use their vision of their best self as the barometer, not yourself. Because here's the thing, the level that you're on, that person may not even want that. That person may not even know how to exist in that. They may not have the capacity to do what you did. Whenever you in a relationship and you use yourself as the barometer, as the metrics, as the guide, it always creates division in your relationship and enmity. Because one, it makes it so you're a lot less compassionate towards the other person, because you're visualizing your own self in it. And we're all selfish to a degree. Let's just say that human nature is consideration of yourself first, in most cases. So that's always the downfall. You got to look at the person and look at where they come from and what's their background. And to be honest, their best may still not be enough for you.
So is it fair then that I just decide that they just are not for me?
That's a fair decision you can make, and you always have that right to make that decision. But I think the information that informs that decision has to evolve past, I had to do it and I did it and I made it out, so you can. And it should turn more into, okay, what's your goal and vision for this for yourself? Do you want to be stable? Is your desire to respond well? Is it your desire to be this way? What does that look like in your life? And I can give you some of the things that help me, but I can't use myself as that. Here's why. I'm a brilliant person. I'm a brilliant person. I absolutely know and believe this about myself. I'm an intelligent person, educated, I got good sense, and all of that. Mm-hmm. To go in a relationship and say the person I'm with has to be like me would put me one at a disadvantage, because now I've limited the pool of possibilities of people on the planet, because I'm a unique individual. There's nobody else like me. And two, it puts pressure on somebody else not to live up to their best potential, but to live up to yours. And that's not how life's supposed to work. Their best potential and your best potential are not the same thing. And
that's absolutely right. I don't disagree with that. I think for me, I know that is where I rest comfortably in, because I do not have the availability to heal you emotionally. I don't got it. Like, I just do not, sir. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not, you don't gotta be like me, but if you are depending on me to heal you through it, then you got the wrong girl. And I'm okay with that. We can just cut this right here, because I have my own space and energy that I need myself for, that I cannot allow someone else to need me that fucking much. I just can't. It's just not in me. I don't have it.
So they can need you in the area of just emotion, because they can need you just as much in another area of the relationship. They can need you romantically.
No,
to the
it's
same
not.
Capacity. They could lead you to the same extent. You know what I'm saying? Physically, you said yourself, you're on dialysis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who gets with you, there's going to be some kind of physical demand beyond what a normal, well, not a normal, but a person who's completely 100% healthy would have, correct?
I cannot say that. I do it by myself. I cannot say that.
You do.
I'm looking you dead in your face, and I got to tell you no. Yeah, because I do it alone.
But here's the thing: you cannot join yourself to somebody else and still have alone tendencies, because a relationship is not about alone. And I think that's the biggest part. If you, especially, when's the last time you've been in a serious long-term relationship?
It's been about 5 years.
And how long was that relationship?
10 years.
10-year long relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so that relationship lasted for 10 years and didn't work out. Why?
Because people like to cheat. Or people, no, wait a minute. In his defense, he didn't cheat. He was inquiring, and it didn't get that far.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have to work through anything with that person for 10 years?
I mean, I will say that at that point we were probably definitely much more, not probably, we definitely were much more emotionally immature than now. Like, we're
Both of
still
you.
friends.
Now, hold on. The both of
Yeah,
you,
both of
right?
us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since that time, you've grown exponentially, right? You've
Yeah.
grown immensely since that person. Now,
I mean, he's grown
this,
too.
yeah, I'm just,
Mhm.
but we talking about you here, so we can talk about
Okay.
you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so you know what it is to be in a place where you're not emotionally developed and not emotionally mature, and you know what that struggle was like, and you know what that was like to deal with and work through and walk through and come through and be better and all of that, right? And so, how can you not be compassionate for someone who needs the same? Because no one was compassionate towards you.
Because I feel like it's possible for you to just get it done if you really want it.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm gonna be honest. The way you think right now, I don't think you've gotten it done.
Okay.
You gonna need to be in a relationship. Yeah, you might be okay on your own, and that's different because I don't think you need the same thing to be by yourself as you need to be with someone else. So to heal individually, to be an individual, is totally different from healing to the point where you can connect yourself now healthily to another
Mm-hmm.
individual, because other people bring out stuff in us that we never see until somebody bring it out of us. Like the outside external entities can stimulate us in ways that we don't do for ourselves, and we don't even allow for ourselves, but you can't control that. So if your goal in healing was singular in nature, then you're going to be fine single. But if you get in a relationship, you're going to find that there's a lot more work that you're going to need to do to be in a relationship. And I think they're two different things. I don't think they're the same. I don't think they're the same at all. You know, a lot of people are good people by themselves, amazing people,
Mm-hmm.
and then get in relationships and just be trash, trash,
And I
trash.
agree with you, though. I totally agree with you. I don't disagree at all.
So that's what I'm saying. So you got to acknowledge the fact that for them to be in a relationship with you and want to grow emotionally, they're doing a different type of work, because doing work to be singularly healed and doing work to be connectively relationally healed is two different things. So to use the barometer of yourself and how you grew to be singularly healed, and then get in a relationship and somebody needs to be relationally healed, and then say, well, you need to do the same. I don't think you can do relational healing all on your own. I don't think so. I think there are some things
That's right.
that God assigns to people in our lives. Like, I don't think we have complete control over everything. I think there are uh, predestined people in our lives that we're meant to meet, to bring things out of us, to reveal things about ourselves, to expose stuff that's been hidden, like all
Mm-hmm.
of that. And without that external stimuli of that other person, I think you miss some of the work that can present itself straight up. I think a lot of people be okay by themselves. Getting a relationship is when they start to suck, because they selfish by themselves, and they don't have to consider nobody else when they by themselves. They don't have to consider nobody else's thoughts, opinions, comings and goings, none of that. But now you got to consider somebody else's, and you can't control them. You have things that now you don't have the power to keep out of your life. Like, some things come to you and you're exposed to certain things simply by your connection to somebody else. And that's a whole nother beast too. So I don't know. I don't think that's the same. And I think that people should be more compassionate towards a person trying to grow relationally as opposed to singularly, because I don't think they're the same. I think that it takes definitely a different type of work.
I absolutely agree with that. Junior, both, to answer your question, both. And Dre Mac, absolutely. Like, right now,
Hold
like
on, hold on.
I honestly,
What's the question? Read the question that you're asking.
Junior, oh, do people ask me to heal them, or do I feel like it is my responsibility? And I told him that I've experienced both. I've been both. And it was because of something, it was because of what I said about people expecting you to heal them or be
I
part
remember
of their
that part.
healing process. Right.
Oh, so
Um,
let's talk about that. Elaborate on that a little bit. How did those two situations, different?
me doing it myself and me, okay, so So in this conversation, I'm noticing a thing, and it's cool because that's what the group is for. The group is for like romantic relationships. So I understand that. But when men and their emotions first came into question for me, it wasn't about relationships. It just was about you, sir, and your shit. You know what I'm saying? Like me, sir, and my shit. Like not the relationship part of it. So I do totally agree with you that that's two different things.
Okay.
Like I'm not in combat with that.
Okay.
Okay, so do people ask me to heal them, or do I feel like it's my responsibility? I have been in both situations. I have had people who come to me and ask me to figure things out, ask me to help them through stuff, and I've had people that I see and I'm just like, you probably need to know this. You know what I'm saying? And I share a thing with them, and they either like to hear that, and so now we're in this tug of war of them unable to execute what they need to reach whatever level of freedom or whatever in their relationship, and them asking me or telling me things and looking to me to say XYZ about it. You know what I mean? So I've been on both sides of it. Is it just me doing it or them seeking it? So
Okay. Yeah, and I think that because how do you discover that the guy needs that healing? Most times you discover that in a relationship context, or the guy trying to advance you relationally, right?
No.
No, I mean, we talking about, of course, there's always broken human, but I thought our initial conversation we were having about, there was a guy, someone who's trying to get you to help them work through stuff, and you just doesn't have time for it, and whatever, that kind of thing.
No, it wasn't that specifically. It was I mean, I've been in those situations, but it was more so the conversations that I'm having on my social media with men. And and the groups are having conversations about men just wanting women to be their peace. Why are women so combative towards men and their emotions? Men are not allowed to be emotional because they're looked down on when they are. It wasn't all necessarily like relationship stuff. Right. It just was in general us as healing grown, like people on a journey to heal, grown people, those different things. And the way I assessed it was I just didn't understand how when men get to that roadblock of emotional growth, they seek women to compassionately guide them through it. And I just been trying to figure out what responsibility do men have in their healing and their emotional growth and healing? What can they do? What can they do to heal, to do better? Where can they start?
Well, I feel like that is a start, to be honest, to try to reach out and find someone who can help you when you can't help yourself. Now, I think therapy, I say this in the group all the time, y'all get tired of hearing it. Therapy is a great place to start. Listen, your sound went out.
I wasn't speaking.
Okay. Oh, you were talking? Okay.
I just was.
I got what you're doing. I'm with you. We here. Yes, I think that's a great place to start. Therapy, like, I think to have a place where you can just completely be vulnerable. Like, therapy was the best for me, man. Therapy was the best thing in my whole world. Like, having a place where you can say the crazy things is in your head, whatever it is, and have somewhere where it doesn't go, the repercussions of it don't have a ripple effect in your everyday life. The impact of it doesn't change your world. It stays in that room, that is, oh my God, it's amazing. But I think starting out, if a man is expressing, hey, how can you help me, or trying to lean on a woman, I think he's already showing you intent and, taking the first step in a willingness to try to grow. So I guess you got to give them points for that a little bit, because a lot of men like, nah, I'm good. My daddy was like this, my granddaddy was like this, and this is how we always are. And then it's like, bro, all of y'all toxic. So you say you've been toxic for 4 generations, nigga? That's not impressive at all.
Right.
But so I think that just having a man who is open and honest and able to say, I don't do this well, is huge for men. And I think women discredit the small things that look small on the outside for y'all, but it's big for us. For a man to even say that I want a woman to help me, it's huge for a dude, because a lot of dudes don't want to. You don't want to seem like you need someone, and definitely not a woman. You don't want to seem like you don't have the answers. You don't want to seem like you don't know. So I think a lot of that is a lot of women are missing the signs from men when they're trying to be vulnerable or when they're trying to open up, and you're just looking at it as something, some small thing. Even if he's sitting in the corner, you know what I'm saying, one day after something happened at his job, and, you know, he sit over there and like, man, you know, I don't know how this gonna turn out, man. I think I effed up this time. That right there for a dude to just say, you know, I think I effed up this time. I think I messed up. Oh, I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have done that. Like, that's a major sign for us because we don't do that well. We don't admit weakness, failure, flaw, vulnerability. It's this pride thing and this ego thing in us that makes it hard. And it's easier for a man who's more developed, but even on the inside, it's a little cringe. It's like, even if we do it, it'd be like, all right, I got to swallow the bit on this one. Yeah, I messed up. So I think that women undervalue the small efforts because y'all do make larger strides in those areas in a lot of times in a short amount of time, because y'all don't have to get to the point where you feel your emotions first and then process them. We got to learn how to feel them first and then understand how it feels, and then understand how we feel about how it feels, and then process through how it makes us feel that we feel this way, and then go say, okay, how do I deal with what I'm feeling? Y'all already have that part ahead of us. Y'all used to feeling it. You don't have a problem acknowledging feeling it most of the time, and you can identify what you feel. A lot of men don't even have that to start with. So we starting a race from behind, and then y'all mad because we ain't caught up yet. Like, help us.
I guess I want, like, why don't men have that? And then I wonder, like, is it unreasonable for women to look for compassion and understanding from men?
No, it's not unreasonable. I'm gonna answer both questions. One, I think men don't have it because it hasn't been as normalized as we like to see in society and culture, and as well as in the home. And that's one of the reasons why I'm very vulnerable on this platform about myself, in hopes that some man will see it and say, like, yeah, that brother cried. I do. There are times where I am overwhelmed to the point where I gotta cry. It makes me feel better. You would be surprised when it's over. I'll be like, whew, I needed to get that out. Good gosh. All right, let me go ahead and twist something up. Have a good evening. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you got to deal with yourself. Feel
Exactly.
your feelings. And Trina will tell y'all that. I'm a believer in feeling my feelings, because the first thing men want to do is, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to feel that discomfort. I don't want to feel that, you know what I'm saying, that frailty, that weakness, that vulnerability. I don't want to feel it. But the first thing you got to do is feel your feelings. And your second question, what was it, men's responsibility to women in that way, right? Now let me say this, and you're not gonna like this. Our responsibility to y'all is huge. I would say that first. Our responsibility to you guys is huge, and necessary, but a lot of guys don't know how to be there for women. And then, so then that's where you guys have to be open enough to teach him how to be there for you. Like, you gotta show them what you like, because some women don't like to be touched, you know what I'm saying, when they feel some way emotionally, and then other women want to be held and cuddled, like when they feel some way emotionally. And so a lot of guys, and here's the thing, we see it in the group all the time, y'all, stuff that the vast majority of people be like, yeah, I would love this, and then you see this post from Twitter where some woman looked at the same incident and they was like, look at this trash nigga here. Like, what you talking? There was one in there today, I think, when the girl was like, the dude planned to date or something without talking to her. And if you read the comments, all the women was like, that's presumptuous. That's presumptuous for him to assume that you ain't had nothing to do. And I will watch out these red flags. Like, they was going off. And how many times we've had topics, I can't even tell you how many conversations we've had in the group about like dudes taking initiative and planning a date and big, but there's some woman out there who ain't gonna like it. So the dude gotta figure out what that woman needs and wants, and be open to that. But it's necessary, and it's a lot of Terry. There's a lot of them out there, because there's more basic than exceptional. Because if all of them were exceptional, there wouldn't be exceptional. So that's what we gotta sift through. All the basic B's. This is what we got to deal with.
Yeah, but is she really basic? I mean, I get both sides of that.
I'm joking with
I
Terry.
remember,
She put
no,
that in
I
the
remember that
comment.
question though. Yeah, I remember that question. And I think somebody said something about like if he had already knew her, it would make sense. But you just coming off of nowhere, like it's a little weird because it's like, damn, sir, you might have made these reservations and I'm not even available. Not even on no like, why did you do that? But on some like, dang, you didn't even like, I'm actually gonna have to cancel because I'm not available. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I
But
think
that's
that
I think that should
I
be.
think that that's a good idea to plan dates. Men doing that. I think you should know her first, though. I do think that.
No, listen. Let me tell you something. Taking a risk and being brave, like that, should he don't get no credit for that. That's a risk because you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm
that's
not
stepping
saying
out
he
on a
don't get
limb.
credit. She just might not be available.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but he knew that when he made the plan, so he knew that was a possibility. So you can't be disappointed. You can't be disappointed. Like, you know what I'm saying? You knew that was a possibility. So if that happens, then okay. But at least he was willing to, you know what I'm saying, take that risk. I mean, worst come to worst. But I don't know why people saw it as a negative thing, though. I'd have been like, you know, that's at least he tried. You know, he had a plan in place. He did some work. He made a reservation. Like, he took steps. All you had to do was get Q to show up. He's showing you out the break what it is and what type of dude he is. When should he turn that on then? Because if he that type of person then, and it's not him putting on a show, but that's genuinely him being him, well, you know what I'm saying? What he's supposed to do?
I don't know when he should put that on, but that doesn't necessarily answer my question though about if women can find compassion and understanding in men the way that men seek it in women
Okay.
emotionally.
So I think men have a greater responsibility than we've lived up to. Let me say that. I think that men need to do better with that area. Absolutely. I think that that level of development and progression um it's something that happens, I think, over generational time when this thing about men changes. I think it's changing in society now. Um, you know, I think men are learning the significance of being emotionally mature and present more now than they did, you know, than they knew before. And I think the awareness is arising. And I think men are trying, but I think it's also progressive. Like, you can't get rid of slavery in a day. You know what I'm saying? You can't get rid of that. You can't get rid of what's been going on in society and culture for hundreds of years in one generation. Most of the time it takes 2 to 3. Let's just be honest. So I think we're on a road towards it. I feel bad. I definitely think women have gotten the short end of the stick, but I also think that women had an unrealistic expectation of men to live up to their level on that side, because I don't think that because we're different levels emotionally, men and women, men may be more emotionally aware, but we'll still never be like y'all. Like, that's just facts. We only had the hormones to be like y'all. We ain't built like that. Period. Our insides ain't built. Forget the outsides. Our insides ain't built like that to be exactly like y'all. So y'all got to give some grace, and y'all definitely can't use yourself as a barometer, because we'll never be that. We'll never be a female. And male and female, men and women were designed different. Down to the molecular and cellular levels, we are not the same. So I think it takes some women to come down a little bit and men to come up a bit, and we'll try to meet in the middle. But I think it's something that's going to be progressive and it'll take some time. But I think women should definitely be more gracious, and I think y'all should take advantage of. I think y'all should be more not grateful, but y'all should take advantage of the fact that y'all generation got better than the older ones. Because them older ladies, they got some stories to tell you about how these Negroes were in the 1940s and 1800s and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, men was way worse back then. And I feel like, and I'm not, and okay, Terry, I see what you say. I'm not saying come down. I'm talking about like bring your expectation down a little bit to be a little more realistic. Like,
I think the hard part with that though, as a woman, is we have been okay. So I'm gonna start off with this. I'm not a Christian, but I'm gonna go with this because most people are. The world is built on a patriarchy where men kind of set the standards for stuff. So I get confused with the standards that men set not being what they want it to be. Like, I don't know.
As far
It's
as
confusing to me.
As far as what?
If men want women to be these emotional, soft characters, because that's what it is, a character, an emotional and soft character, right?
Hold on, stop.
Then they have to then be the reciprocal of that. But because they have not been, women have become what men feel like they're fighting against. We're no longer supple and all of those things that men are seeking. So I'm with her. We're not gonna come down because we've been pushed to be here. I love to relate this to white supremacy. I fucking love it. I love relating the way that black men, with the way that men and women interact, and then the way that black men and black women are interact. I love to relate that shit to white supremacy. White people have a power that they cannot fathom the idea of letting go of a little bit of it for shit to get a little bit better. They cannot fathom the idea of it. And I feel like men sometimes have this same like emotional barrier where they're not willing to let go because God forbid you have some sort of something over me. And it's like, sir, we're not even trying to get there. But if you are not willing to relinquish a little bit of something, you're going to forever be callous. I'm telling you, in a woman's perception, like, you're going to forever be callous towards us. So why the fuck should we have to come down and be soft and be vulnerable? We have been vulnerable through the entire existence that men created for women to live under. So if we have always been this soft, supple thing and it got us here, what the fuck you think we about to do it another 30 days for, sir? So you know what I'm saying? So it's like, before we come down, y'all have to come up. We're not going to come down no more.
But here's the thing. I think your perception is wrong. You think that men are trying to have something over you. I think that men are trying to hold on to their sense of manhood. And I think that's because men have a skewed sense of manhood, and we have a society that's actually attacking manhood.
So what is the sense of manhood that men are trying to hold on to that they feel like women are coming for?
Because there's always been this stigma of men being soft, men not being manly enough. You're not able to be the man because you're so emotionally, controlled or moved or guided by your emotions. And there's this stigma in society today. If we see it all the time. If a guy, if you are out on a date with a dude,
I'm not that.
If you're out on a date with a dude, right? And hold on. Oh Lord. Okay, I'm out the right. All right, so if you're out on a date with a dude, right? And y'all out in public and a guy brushes into you or a guy does something, whatever, another guy. And the dude gets into a heated altercation with this guy. They talking, they jabbering, whatever. And the dude that you're with starts crying, like tearing up in his eyes or whatever. And he started crying. What is he crying for? He's emotionally, like, it's a lot of feelings. He's angry, he's irritated, he's frustrated, all whatever, and it causes him to cry. Now, people see that, and they see that dude and be like, look at this pussy nigga in here crying. In here crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, you, what would you think of him? Would you think less? You out here, you got an altercation with me in public with another dude, and you crying? What you crying for, nigga?
But I mean, my immediate response is gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, sir, like, are we handling it right now? Are we doing this? Like, that's gonna be, I'm gonna wonder.
Exactly.
Is this what we doing?
There you go. He's a B. Now this is the thing, because
I did not say that. I didn't say that. Are we doing this right now though? Like, are we gonna handle this altercation first? Are we gonna cry at the same time? What are we doing?
No, he in the altercation, whatever. He in the altercation. He like, yo, it ain't gonna be all that, whatever. But he crying while he doing it, right? Now this is a real thing because, see, look, Carl Thomas, emotional eating. This is a real thing because I was a kid that was like that. I was a kid. If I get really, really angry or really, really worked up,
I cry.
Yeah, if I get really frustrated or really upset or something, I cry. And I can't tell you how many times people perceive that as being a pussy. No, nigga, I'm not scared. I ain't worried about nothing. But I just can't help it. If I got worked up like that, I would cry. Now, I was shamed by men and women because of that. Because of that. And I had to literally force myself to stop feeling that. Yeah, I had to make myself stop responding like that. So I'm literally shutting down my feelings because I can't be with my girl out somewhere and get worked up. And then next thing you know, I got tears in my eyes. I look like a pussy. But the thing is, why should I look like a pussy because of that? Because I got feelings? But in real life, that's how it is. In real life, you're not going to feel confident about that man. So some of it is us trying to hold on to the perception and to be respected and thought of as a man, because we know y'all need that too. You want to feel safe. You want to feel secure. You want to feel like you got a man on your arm, not some nigga that's going to cry every time something get hard or every time stuff get tough. But he ain't crying because he pussy. He crying because he's emotionally whatever. Like some guys are literally have higher emotions or whatever. But you can't tell me, like, in society, that's never been accepted. That's still not, to this day. To this day, let me get in the altercation in Walmart today and the video go viral and I'm in there and getting the altercation and I'm crying in my face and post it online and read the comments.
Okay, you're absolutely right. I'm with Terry. That's an assumption, and that's going to be an assumption.
No, I'm telling you from my experience. The stuff I'm saying about women is my experience. I'm
just saying how women. So. Right, but how you're saying women are going to feel, that is an assumption, because like we said earlier, there's different maturity levels. Zanita at 20-something is probably going to be like, bitch ass nigga. Zanita at 34 is not going to be like that. Zanita at 34 is going to be taken aback. But I just need to know, are we handling this?
Yeah, I get that. But the 20-something Zanita's opinion will scar that man until he's 30-something. That 20-something verbalization from that Zanita person will to make that man feel like he's wrong for being that type of person. Will make that man stuff them feelings down. And even right now, the comments, and he being funny, but guys are literally saying it. I smell pussy. Here, big B. Like, what are you talking about? It smell like bitch in here. That's what that's the comment.
I guess for me, so to draw it back in on like the emotional, like when, like, my question is, when are men gonna just start taking responsibility for where they got themselves emotionally and how they need to get themselves out emotionally? Y'all feel like that about each other? Y'all made that. Women did not see men crying just out the blue and was like, oh, bitch ass nigga. Men be like, this bitch ass nigga. So we be like, bitch ass nigga. Like, y'all create that standard. Y'all dead ass do. Do you know that women are still dealing with stigmas about them from when they were young girls too? And we just gotta eat that shit. I've been called a dude and a dyke since I was 10. I had to just eat that shit. I can't be upset and want men to just understand, be my peace, because they just keep saying I got a dick. Be my peace, man. Y'all always doing this to us. We can't be nothing. That's how men do. That shit is tired.
But here's the thing. Tired. If you get in a relationship with somebody and he sideways make a side comment about that, I bet you it still sting to this day. If you get in a relationship with this dude and you be like, baby, what does it look like? Like, ugh, you look like a stud. Take that off. You immediately, that old feeling, it will come right back. The right person say the wrong thing and it will ruin you.
And that's okay. Why y'all don't know how to deal with it?
We do.
I wouldn't lose my shit. I would not lose my shit. I would be like, damn, that's fucked up. I always been the dyke. Since I was a little girl, when I go out with my friends, I'm always the dyke. Listen, like, I'm always the one that's not dressed feminine. I don't give a fuck about a heel. So if he was to say that, I would be like, damn, it still ain't changed. That's fucked up. But I'm not going to be like, see, man, you just always, like, y'all got to get a hold on that shit. It's an immediate shutdown. It's an immediate, like, a challenge to your masculinity. Like, you not okay. Maybe my clothes does rest a little more on my masculine side, sir. So if you tell me I'm looking like a dyke, maybe I'm looking like a dyke today. So if you're crying and I'm like, babe, that's, what's up, though? Because that's what you got going on. You get a little soft on me. What you got going on? I expect you to talk to me like I'm going to talk to you about you calling me a dyke.
There it is. You're perpetuating, getting a little soft. because he had some emotions, because he felt his feelings, getting a little soft.
I'm gonna call myself soft though when I get to crying.
But that's not soft for anybody. It's human. It's not soft for anybody. It's human.
I guess what I'm saying is men are creating that standard that y'all got to live up to. So y'all have to be more compassionate. All I'm saying is y'all got to be more compassionate to each other. That's not our job to be compassionate for y'all, to be compassionate to y'all selves. That's crazy.
I agree, but here's the thing. I'm gonna be honest. Most men who are close with other men, are able to have that type of relationship. I think that stigma is definitely not the way it is, privately anyway. Not so, maybe less in public or whatever. But you got to realize it ain't about who did it. It's about what it matter. Who, like the person that said it, what it means. And the person that you're in a relationship or the person you have feelings for, you give them a level of power and influence. Their words matter more than the words of someone else. Someone I love can say something and it hit way different than a stranger in the street. So just because it's said a lot in the street doesn't mean it matters or not. To be honest, a lot of the damage is being done by the people we love. Fact.
That's facts.
Fact. Most of our hurt and pain ain't from strangers. It's from people we trusted to love us, people we trusted to care about us, people we entrusted with our feelings, with our vulnerabilities, with our stuff. They got close enough to us to matter. They got close enough to us to see some intimate stuff. Right. And they got close enough to us to hurt us. Fact. So I don't give so much stock to that argument, because to be honest, if 100 people outside of me that don't matter say it, and one person to me matter said it, you can't say, well, 100 other people said it, but it mattered when you did. And that's what y'all don't want to take responsibility for. And you can't decide to say, I'm going to treat my influence over your life reckless as a stranger. And a lot of times that's what happens. One statement from you can be way more damaging than 1,000 statements from strangers. And that's the part y'all be missing, because niggas don't.
I don't disagree with that. I'm just trying to figure out why women have to tread light on men's emotions and men do not tread light on women's. That is really all I'm trying to figure out. Like, I agree with you with all of this other shit, but men are responsible for y'all being insensitive to each other. That is not women's job to heal that part of y'all emotionally. Y'all call each other bitches. Y'all set the standard for what the fuck another man did that wasn't manly enough is bitch shit. Y'all did that. That is not women's job to fix. That is literally all I'm saying. I'm not combating you with none of that other shit. Like,
all right. So this is what I'm saying. I think, and I'm gonna give you a real answer to that. I think there is a oversaturation which desensitizes men sometimes to the need, because women are more emotional, feeling more often. Huh?
I was telling, my bad, I didn't mean to really speak over. I was telling Brandon, my bad. I'm not aggressive. That's just how I talk.
Your masculinity showing.
That's just how I talk. My bad.
But I think there's an oversaturation, whereas, you know, women are much more emotional more often, right? And I always say people devalue something that's in abundance, no matter what it is. If there's plenty of it, if there's a lot of it, it don't have it's just like rare things in life. They cost more. Why? Because it's not a lot of it, right? So the same thing, I think that because men's emotional expression is more of a rarity and women's emotional expression is more common, that men don't always treat every expression of emotion from women in the way that maybe it could be or should be, because it's all the time. And to be honest, men don't like to deal with emotional stuff all the time. So if you're a woman, and let's say in a month's time, you have, 20 emotional breakdown or 20 emotional incidents or whatever. Out of them 20, the dude probably gonna get about 9 of them right. Just being realistic, just because it's like every other day is something. At some point, the dude gonna be like, all right, man, All right, whatever. What you need?
Who
you
are
right?
these women?
I'm just giving. This is a hypothetical. This is not real. But the point I'm saying is, because it happens more frequently with women than men, then men have more opportunities to mishandle an emotional moment because it happens more often, and two, we don't have the capacity to be emotional over long stints. So like women can be broke up and sad for a week. Like y'all can be sad and sit in the house and eat ice cream and put the covers over your head and close all the blinds and listen to slow music. Like a dude is gonna cry for about an hour and a half, maybe two. That's all we got for it. So even in you know what I'm saying, and after that we like, all right, on to the next thing, whatever. You know, the
Ain't got
majority
time
of
for this
women,
shit.
yeah, but the vast majority of women have an emotional capacity that far exceeds men. And so men can't hang with y'all like that. Y'all, if you emotional more times than not, and think about it, if you have 20 incidents and a man gets, let's say on the other side, a man gets 11 of them right? And he drops the ball a little bit on 9 of them. You got 9 times of being disappointed. You got 9 times of feeling let down. You got 9 times of feeling like he was insensitive. You got 9 times whereas a man in that same month time, he probably gonna have 2, maybe 3 in that month time emotional episodes. And most of the time, y'all got enough to handle all 3 of them because y'all pros. And secondly, even if you get 2 out of 3, you still winning. You winning. If you get 2 out of 3 in his month and he get 11 out of your 20, that nigga taking L's. And I don't, sometimes the damage or the hurt and the trauma that comes from that is far reaching. And y'all feel so let down and disappointed, but it's not, because it's just y'all have a greater emotional capacity than us most times. And we don't know how to go like, oh my God, after a while, we be just trying to get away from around y'all. Like, I got to go somewhere else. Let you handle that. Feel better. Like, what can I do for you? You need some tea? I buy you some flowers. I do something for you. But men don't like to go into that as long. So if you look at it, statistically, it would be impossible for us to do the same for you as you do for us. Because y'all have more, we have more opportunities to fail, and y'all have less. Y'all have, if you get me right 3 times in a month, I feel like, yo, she was there for me. Oh my God, she's the dopest. But you only had to be there 3 times. If it was 20, you may have only got like 15 of those. There might be 5 drop balls. You know what I'm saying? It might be more. I'm just saying there may be more opportunities where you didn't do the best because you already tired or you exhausted or whatever. These just the facts, man. These ain't excuses. These are facts. I'm talking to Terry. I'm talking to Terry down here. Somebody excuse. If y'all want to have a conversation, we got to have a real live conversation.
Yeah, we do.
The differences. I'm talking to her. Like doing better. If that dude was failing you 9 times and then he gets up to the point where he's now doing 13 out of 20. 13 out of 20 times now he getting it right. Whatever. That's still 7 letdowns. And even if and it don't take but the one right one where it meant the most to her. We don't know how the distance is gonna reach.
So this is the revelation that I'm having. I'm a nigga, and it's okay. I'm definitely not a woman, because that's fucking stupid. I'm gonna say this: if you're having that many emotional breakdowns a month, if you are in a relationship where your significant other has to chase your fucking emotional damn tornadoes, then you need to fix yourself. There's a fucking problem. It's not their job to figure that shit out 20 times a month. That is crazy talk. If you are telling me as a man that women usually give men the issue of having that many issues a month, she is a fucking problem. She needs to go to therapy. That is too much. When I was having that many issues a day, a fucking month, I needed to be alone. That shit don't make no sense that women are out here attaching themselves to people with issues. I got the same energy for men, though. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on, Zanita.
Figure it out.
Zanita, but that was a hypothetical that was exaggerated to show you a
principle. It's real. That shit is real, though. I've seen it. Yeah, I got homegirls that's always going through some shit. And I'm going to tell you, I'm the last homegirl they want to talk to, because when they started, I'm like, so option A, option B, what is it going to be? Because you're not about to be on my phone, all this bitching. We're not about to do it. What is it going to be? I don't have time. I'm not about to do this with you. We did it last month. I'm not going to do it. So that's why, like, I feel you. If people are out here doing that, that has got to stop. But that is what I'm saying. Like, men, it is not women's job to fix y'all emotionally. Women, y'all got to stop doing that shit. It's not men's job to just keep taking the emotional shit. Like, and that's where I'm at. Like, that shit is ridiculous.
I get it. I get it. And I think there's some growth needed on both sides of the conversation. But I think that in order for men to grow in this way, what you're doing is not going to help them. That's not going to do it. That's not the way to it. I mean, it's not the way. And to be honest, most dudes going to be like, I'm not going to engage. I'm not going to shut down with her. Like, a dude don't stand a chance with you. I'm telling you right now.
They don't
stand a chance.
You right.
And if that's the case, then it's doomed, because whoever you connect yourself to, and I'm saying this relationally now, there has to be room for the development and growth and support for each other. And you're going to have to be okay with them not getting it right, and you don't trash them for it or tear them down for it or make them feel like they're an insufficient human or person for it, because that's the only way that they're going to grow to learn is failure. Like, I got 3 sons, man, and I have to remind myself often. I'm teaching them something new. I can't expect them to get it right. And I'm a teacher as well. So, and you've been a teacher. As a teacher, well, you've helped in that.
That's where I'm at, Terry. They got to be willing to learn. They have to be willing to learn. That's where I get short. Like, if we got to keep going through this, it is a no. Like, it's a no. I got space for people. I don't have unconditional space for people. I don't believe in unconditional love. You on my nerve. Like, there is a limit. People gotta want to do the growing part. But if we have been here in this place for an extended amount of time, then one of us ain't growing, and so we don't need to do this. And that's just where I be. But that is a totally different topic. I really am just confused about men being each other's worst enemy and then wanting women to fix it emotionally. That is really where I'm just lost at. Like, that's just
my God. I think we're not each other's worst enemy. To be honest, as a man, ain't no man out here a worse enemy than the woman I love. Just facts. Because y'all, I'm gonna be honest, it don't matter as much. It doesn't matter as much. Y'all think so, but it doesn't matter as much. Y'all have way more power than y'all, and I think that's why y'all mishandle and abuse it, because y'all don't realize that the stuff that's making the biggest impact is stuff y'all doing. Y'all think the other stuff should, because it's more visible or it's more from us. But to be honest, men don't care as much about men's opinions about them emotionally as they do women. I'm just gonna be honest, straight up. Now, when it comes to men being with or around me, and some of us are strong enough. Like, I'm a type dude where I am strong enough and comfortable enough in my masculinity that if a dude tries to shame me, like, bro, that don't mean anything. And that's the thing right there. If you gonna sit there and hear a guy come and express our experience, and then you're gonna say that's a lie, and you're not having the experience, then you're not willing either. You're unwilling to hear and learn what they're going through. If somebody opens up, and that right there is another thing. When guys try to share with you genuinely and authentically what they feel or what they've experienced, and y'all be like, nah, that ain't it. Okay, so you gonna tell me what it is for me, and then you gonna tell me to fix what you told me it was. Really? That's what we gonna do? Deuces. I'm just saying, like, don't do that. Don't do that. You got to be open to say, okay, I'm going to hear what it is for him. I'm going to hear what he deals with and how it works for him. I'm going to listen, and I'm going to accept. I'm going to accept what he says is truth, even if I don't think it or I don't agree it. And then we'll move from that. And if you move from that and you see that it happens different or it ain't working, then you say, well, that wasn't true what we said earlier. But you can't discredit it until you try it. Come on, man. Validate sometimes. And that's what y'all don't do. You don't validate our feelings and validate our experiences and our points and our things that we present. It just gets discredited because, oh, it looked like excuses. Oh, you making up reasons. Just do it. This ain't Nike, my nigga. It don't even work like that in real life. For nothing. even for personal emotional growth, you got to have a willingness and want, but then you also got to do that dig deep and confront this stuff. And, oh, my childhood was this, and oh, such and such touched me there, and I had this experience, and my dad was this, and my dad was that. That process is not something you can just do. That takes a lot of work. And I never want to diminish what it takes to be a healthy human being in this life, because it's not easy, and it's way more unhealthy humans than there are healthy ones. So let's not act like it's just something to do and it can just be turned on like a light switch. It's the hardest thing in the world to do, to be honest. It's way easier to do external things than it is to do internal things, because you got to get past yourself. Everybody can attack an enemy that's on the other side of them, facing them. It's hard to attack that enemy when it's yourself. That's why it's hard for people to commit suicide. It's hard to hurt yourself. Self-preservation is one of the #1 human attributes.
That's real.
So that process, honestly, is way more difficult than a lot of people give credit. And I think most of the time when you people who diminish that process, I wonder if you went through it. Because if you went through it, you would be more compassionate to someone who's trying to go through it now, because you know what it cost and you know what it took. And it's intense. It's intense. So I would never try to present to someone like being a healthy person and dealing with your emotional issues and things like that. It's just something to jump up and you can just do. It takes years, time of long, progressive, and layers of dysfunction and exposure and experience that has to be first discovered, uprooted, and exposed, and then dealt with. Like, that process is grueling. It really is. And you can get to the place where sometimes you hate yourself. You can hate yourself for what you are when you start to really see what you are, uncovered, not trying to cover it up, not trying to make it look some type of way, and look at yourself naked at yourself. You can hate yourself. And then some people have to learn to love themselves after they discover all the crap that they've carried for years, and learn how to value yourself again, and learn how to see the good in yourself, and learn how to see what you contribute, and learn how to see purpose in yourself, and learn how to see your place in the world. Like, all of that. That stuff is not easy. And so I think women need to be a little more gracious when it comes to this. Just being honest. I think you need to be a little more gracious.
I totally agree with that. I guess, I don't know. It keeps getting lost, and that's cool. I respect that. But I guess I'm just trying to figure out how an expectation of such comes from a people who do not provide it. That is just truly where I'm lost at. I ain't gonna never claim to be done. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is not something that I claim to be, but I do know that
Let me explain something to you. That's human nature, first of all. You go to restaurants and you want your server to be polite and everything, and you can be nasty to them, and they better not. You better not act out of character, even if I'm being a B. Like, we be wanting people.
I don't know. People just different then. I got to say people different.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. People are different, but I feel like, a lot of people give passes for stuff when they do it and then condemn other people.
Right, Terry.
So I get it.
Terry, right. What do men need to do? What do men need to do?
We need to take responsibility. We need to be willing. We need to be willing to do the hard work. I agree. So men need to take responsibility for their own emotional health and stability. We need to stop excusing things that are toxic and that are issues just for the sake of commonality and familiarity. We need to do some hard work, and we need to stop overlooking or looking over things that could be potential hazards and threats to us. So that's what I feel like men need. Men need to definitely do that. You can't take the position of it's somebody else's responsibility. No, you got to take responsibility for it. But I think somebody else has culpability. And culpability is basically your role in his responsibility. And I think women have a role, just like, because women, we didn't get here without women's help. Let's not tell that lie. Women participated in men getting here, and vice versa. But when we talk about emotional stuff, y'all are leaps and bounds ahead of us. It leaps and bounds ahead of us. So you got to acknowledge that as well.